We are completing our principles of design with the last couple of principles of design. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. Balance is the visual or physical weight of an object. And as I mentioned previously, there are three types of balance. There's symmetrical, there's asymmetrical, and radial. Symmetrical balance is mirror image balance. As I mentioned, it was formal balance. It has a very stable feeling when you look at it. And both halves, when split down the middle, are the same. Many times human faces are very symmetrically balanced. So if you split our faces down the middle, you'll see there's an eye on one side, an eye on another side, ear, nostril, corner of the mouth. So we are symmetrically balanced. Here's some examples of symmetrical balance in artwork. If you look at the vase on the right-hand side, again, when we're talking about human face, if you split that down the middle, it's very close to being even on both sides. For the wall art, if you split them down the middle, again, they are kind of mirror image of each other and perfectly balanced. Asymmetrical balance has balance, but it is not mirror image balanced. When you look at these, there is balance because there are equal amounts of visual weight on both sides. It may not be perfectly, split down the middle and one side mirrors the other, but they are still a type of balance. So we see with the more modern looking sculpture on the left on the pedestal, that piece of ceramics is not mirror image, but you can see that the smaller left-hand side sort of balances the thinner, longer right-hand side of the piece. The pierced vase in the middle works well because that has almost an equal amount of open space and positive space, so negative and positive space, and where there's opening of space, it is sort of balanced by the closed ceramic structure itself. And the piece on the very right, the blue artwork with the line in the middle of it, is both physically balanced and it's visually balanced. But obviously, if you split it down the middle, it would not be the same on both sides. Radial balance is pretty simple. It's balanced in a circular format. When divided like a pie in the middle, each wedge is a repeated design. So if you look at the concentric circles on the left, that can be split infinitely into pie wedges. The flower ceramic piece in the middle can be split into sections, maybe 4 sections, maybe 6 sections. They're not going to be perfect sections, but they're very close to mirror or radial balance. And then finally, if you're looking at the pot on the right, that would be able to be split into 4 sections. So each wedge is a repeated design in radial balance. Finally, we have proportion. And proportion refers to the relative size and scale of various elements in an artwork. The issue is the relationship between the objects or the parts of a whole. And this means that it is necessary to discuss proportion in terms of the context or standards used to determine proportions. Now, that is a lot to talk about. But if we just know about human proportions, we know when stuff has been tinkered with or when stuff looks a little bit different. So if we're looking at this woman on the swing, you can see that her legs and her hips are very out of proportion compared to her torso and her head. Yet it is used by the artist to show sort of the heaviness of the object sitting on the swing. So artists play with that type of proportion. We also think about proportion in terms of functional work, such as a handle on a coffee mug. You can see that even back in, I believe this is a Mayan or an Aztec piece that is centuries old, that even playing with human proportions can make things look comical. And so the head of this little figure is way blown out of proportion. And also we can see the proportion of the openings on the piece on the right, or pieces on the right, compared to the body size of the work. So in a nutshell, if you review this, this is how we use